Welcome, 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 and good evening. Yes, this is the S.W.E.L.L. Happy Hour, the art of communication. Yes. Today we are going to talk about want to play with yourself? So many ways to skin that kitty cat. The S.W.E.L.L. Happy Hour. So, you can get us on Zoom, and we are normally broadcast, excuse me, on the second Wednesday of every month at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Today, we have a phenom, okay? A phenomenal guest. Yes, our ass or ambassador of spicy sex is the one and only Mr. Justin Sayne. I will introduce Justin in a few minutes. But I just wanted to tell you what the S.W.E.L.L. Happy Hour is. In case you're new to the show, it's 60 minutes of infotainment. So maybe you're wondering, well, what the hell is S.W.E.L.L.? Well, S.W.E.L.L. is for women. It's an infotainment company that shares information with women about sexual wellness and sexuality, so that women gain self-esteem, confidence, and knowledge about themselves and the healing benefits of adult toys, just so that they can live empowered lifestyles. That's right. And what can you expect from our show tonight? Well, it's 60 minutes, as I said, of profound content shared by our guest expert on one of 7 topics. Yeah, because we talk about 7 topics here on our show. They are masturbation, premature ejaculation, libido, which is low T, low L, oral and anal sex, LDS or erectile dysfunction, and bedroom adventures. You're going to gain some insight about the problem and some solutions. Well, why did I bother with S.W.E.L.L.? I noticed that people were exchanging DNA and not asking the proper questions. That's right. They were just slick, slashing, slobbing, and swapping spit. And next thing you know, all kinds of dysfunctions. Yes. And then, to top it off, they were subjecting us to their dysfunction. So, with insight and some simple, actionable steps, we can lower the world's divorce rate. Notice I said we, because this is a collaborative effort. That's right. And the intention is to create awareness about these sexual dysfunctions, available remedies, and to inspire a new perspective about sex and adult toys. So tonight's show, as I said, is called Wanna Play with Yourself? Why masturbation, yes, masturbation, we're talking about solo play, self-play, but there's a twist because, you know, Justin's here. Why masturbation is the new health pill that everyone should be taking. And I do mean everybody, okay? So before we start our show, I wanted to read something from, Paulo Coelho. You know Paulo. Paulo wrote The Alchemist. I'm pretty sure a lot of us folks know about that book, The Alchemist. Well, he also wrote several other books, one of which is Veronica Decides to Die. And this little passage, well, read it with me here. So he says, and close your eyes while I'm reading this. She imagined herself both queen and slave, dominatrix and victim. In her imagination, she was making love with men of all skin colors, white, black, yellow, with homosexuals and with beggars. She was anyone's, and anyone could do anything to her. She had 1, 2, 3 orgasms, one after the other. She imagined everything she had never imagined before, and she gave herself to all that was most base and most pure. Oh! Let that resonate with you for a minute. Yes, because this is going to go deep into the kitty today. That's right. So anything you have a question about, please write it down and we'll deal with the questions after the show. All right. But you might be wondering, why do this masturbation? Well, there's several reasons. You know, masturbating is it's a stress reliever, it's a pleasure booster, and it helps you to sleep. And you know what it is. It's stimulating your genitals with your hands or a toy just to gain some sexual pleasure, because it really feels good. And as you can see from the chart, a lot of people are doing it, whether you're in a relationship or you're not. Yes, masturbation. But guess what? We are going to talk with our guest. Our guest tonight is a phenom. His name is Justin Sayne. Justin hails out of the Meyer, Arizona area. And Justin's a very hard worker, and he says he's usually confused by others. Yes. You can check him out at justinsaynelether.com. I took this from his website, and I did not know that Justin employs people in South Africa. Yeah, a lot of South African families. That's right. Justin Sayne Leather is one of the few companies with the opportunity to purchase these exotic alligator hides in the tradition of fashion houses such as Hermès, Yves Saint Laurent, Christian Dior, and Nina Ricci. Each unique piece is handcrafted work of art by one of our own, one and only master craftsman, Mr. Justin Sayne himself. Through his skilled hands, exotic alligator hides from the sub-Saharan Africa are turned into award-winning, one-of-a-kind pieces. That's right. I had hoped to have been fashioning one tonight, but I won't say anything. Oh, he has one. Yeah, of course you have one. All of Justin's signature stylings and designs are made right here in the U.S. with the highest quality and standards. Justin Sayne Leathers, he received the March 2017 XBiz Awards. Now, XBiz is a magazine that writes about sex businesses who deal with sex and all literature responding to sex and the sexual wellness and the sex industry. So the nominations include Fetish Producer of the Year for its groundbreaking asphyxiation collar, yes, BDSM Pleasure Products Company of the Year, and Boutique Pleasure Products Company of the Year. He also received the 2017 award at AVN. Yes, he joined the ranks of the award-winning nominees for Best Fetish Manufacturer, along with the likes of the industry powerhouses. Not bad for a one-man craftsman show, right? Yeah, Justin. Please welcome Justin to the show. Hey, Justin. I'm going to take you off mute in 1 minute. 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute. So, me, this crazy lady, I am Marcia Chambers, aka Speaker MC, and I work with women who are lonely in their relationships, and I help them to go from sexless to Stevie. That's right. You can check me out on marciachambers.com/swell for women. And as I said before, that my mission and my reason for doing this is to reduce the world's divorce rate by 50%. And that's why I created S.W.E.L.L for women, sexual wellness and empowered living lifestyles for women. Because women were just exchanging DNA all over the place, not asking questions, and then subjecting the rest of us to their dysfunctions. Yeah, had a baby with this one, but he didn't want any, or, you know, stuff like that. So I produce and I host a few shows that share this message about female sexuality. They are S.W.E.L.L. Happy Hour, which is this show, S.W.E.L.L. Playroom, which is the podcast, which we're going to do after. This is the after party. I'm so excited. And the Bush is Swelling Show, which is a radio show which I co-host with my good friend, Bush Woman. Now, all three concentrate on shifting how we think about sex and sexuality. And the Speaker MC show is a show that I host which deals with relationships and explores how we deal with ourselves and our environment and how we deal with others. That airs on Mondays at 9 p.m. So I'm going to stop this puppy right now, and we are going to say hello to our friend of the show, Mr. Justin Sayne. Justin,
how are you? How have you been? You're looking fantastic.
And so are you, darling. Justin is on his way to California to go and endorse some guitarist over there. Isn't that right, Justin?
Yeah, we launched a line of guitar and stage gear and that kind of thing, and we went out to Summer NAMM in Nashville, and we spread some things around. And as it turned out, that one of those 80s girls, Tiffany, wound up with one of our cuffs, probably your cuff.
I know.
And we're going to go out and endorse their guitar player and maybe see if she needs a few things too. But we got invited down to the show, so I'm going to go and
fabulous.
See what Tiffany's doing, right?
That's right. That's right. Fabulous. Hang on, Tiffany.
Now, you want to talk about, girls taking care of business. That girl started singing in malls as a teenager. Still to this day, she's out there touring.
Wow.
What do you know? Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah. I'm anxious. Yeah, because, there's not that kind of money in the music industry anymore. And she was a teenager in the 80s. So whatever she made, you know how long that lasts,
Mm-hmm.
So you got to stick with it because you want to at that point,
Exactly.
And, I was a big fan when I was a kid, a pretty redhead. How do you go wrong, right? She got skills, she's singing and all pretty. But, honestly, it's just, it's one of those things we're excited to see those guys and see what they're up to. And it's really just about growing up and moving along and doing new things,
Mm-hmm. Where are you at? A Starbucks?
I'm at a Starbucks. Look at this. I'm having a white woman drink.
Oh. I'm sorry. The other white woman drink. Don't get it twisted.
The other white woman
We're
drink.
talking about masturbation. That cum juice.
Right.
So, Justin, we like to bring a difference to the show. We like to bring a different way of thinking about normal everyday stuff, and especially having to do with sex. And for the most part, we know that most people know about masturbating, and masturbating is usually a solo endeavor. But we had our little chat, and I love the fact that we're just going to blow their minds with this new thing, right?
Right.
Mind blown.
Yes.
So masturbation, what we're talking about is that masturbation doesn't necessarily have to be a solo game, a solo play. Justin is going to shed some light on some other techniques that masturbation involves, like voyeurism and partnering. So, Justin, just take it away. Playing with those genitals.
Well, it's hard to know where to start with this topic, because really most of us start with this topic. The very first thing we do is explore ourselves before we explore anyone else, and it's kind of the rookie league, really. We find out what those parts do and what they look like, and all that kind of thing when we start with self-satisfaction as quickly as we can grab those things, probably. I mean, I know I did. I've always been fascinated by that thing. But, of course, don't tell. But, seriously, like we were talking about, I started thinking about all the ways that I've witnessed masturbation through the years. And honestly, usually it's not necessarily a solo event at all. And I found that there's a lot of different ways to achieve self-satisfaction. We talked about a few of them. You start where you want to start. Which one should we start with?
Okay, so we spoke about the partnering, where when your partner actually sees you masturbating, it's like a turn on. Now, I'm going to bring this in only because there's so many women. I'm going to mute you for just a second here. Just a second. There's so many women who don't even masturbate to know about themselves or to know what pleases them, where their erotic zones are, erogenous zones are. They don't know anything. They don't know how much pressure to apply to the little kitty. They haven't looked under the hood, nothing like that. And then they get to a partner, and then they're like, oh, he wasn't shit, you know, he didn't know what to do, or oh my God, you know, he was the worst, whatever. Meanwhile, if you don't know what turns you on, how can you communicate that to your lover, right? So partnering is another way to kind of do the exploration and have someone help you to do that exploration. You want to expand on that?
Yes. You know, when you kind of graduate from doing it to yourself, and I don't think we ever quit that, but of course, I think we move on. You know, there's a lot of, we talked about this word energy exchange that can happen by watching your partner satisfy themselves. And, you know, it depends on kind of what you're into. Me, myself, I like to see, I like to watch a woman completely satisfied, because, you know, honestly, it's a beautiful thing. But, you know, when we're this close, we don't always see that, you know, and a lot of times it's nice to stand back and watch her own reaction, see the things she likes, and vice versa, you know, let her kind of see what we're doing to ourselves and take notes, that kind of thing. But honestly, the visual of the voyeurism when it comes to that point, you know, it's honestly very, very stimulating in the aspect that, you know, masturbation is supposed to be one of those private things, one of those things we don't see, one of those things we're not supposed to share because it's just us, right? No. I mean, look straight at your partner and be like, you sit over there and do that for a minute. Let her smoke or something and watch. See what happens. And it may be a little icky for a minute, but that'll pass.
Well, you know, it's funny that you mentioned about that connection, because where's your earpiece? Because a lot of times they're just doing the do. You know, they're just doing the do, and nobody's connecting with each other. Nobody is getting into the breathing of the partner, you know, the tantra aspect of it. But you mentioned something about sex magic, and I just wanted to bring a different distinction, because a lot of people, it's very competitive, those decimals over there. A lot of people may not understand that there is a difference between tantra, and tantra is just, let's take the word tantra apart. So tan means expand, and tra means the instrument of that expansion. So people would associate tantra with sex, and it's just like maybe 1%. But sex magic, I want you to go in depth and explain about the exchange of the sexual energies and the exchange of energies, and how that kind of masturbating meditation can bring about a whole host or a whole realm of things that we didn't even fathom. So take it away, Justin.
All right. You got sex magic is kind of a strange thing. It's been around for thousands of years, but it was kind of revolutionized when Aleister Crowley started writing about it and talking about it, that kind of thing. I think we kind of missed the point of it when Aleister Crowley did his thing. But honestly, what it's about is being able to focus on something within your life that you're trying to put together, and during basically a sexual encounter, what you're doing is you're not focusing on your partner's focusing on you, and what you're focusing on is whatever it is in your mind. For me, it works best in a situation where where if I've got that thing floating around my head and I can't seem to make the pieces fit, sex magic is a wonderful thing for me because it clears out all the clutter. When you can focus out of your partner, you know, and focus out of what you're doing in that situation and completely let it alleviate out of your mind the things that will flood into your mind and the space that you've created. A lot of times, you know, it's pretty amazing actually. And
can you just give them like a visual of how that would be done? Because many people who have not heard of this exchange of energy, they probably think that, oh well, what we do, we just lay there and you know the energies are going to exchange that way. And this is part of the partnering that we were talking about.
You know, it's more of a, you know, like I was telling you before, it's not a switch. It's not like you're just going to flip a switch and make it happen. But, you know, honestly, you know, you really have to have some trust in your partner and kind of know what's going on with them and that kind of thing. But honestly, when in that situation, they're kind of not even there. They really have nothing to do with it. And what you're trying to do is use a sexual encounter to positively influence the things that are wreaking havoc in your life. And strangely enough, it works like a charm. And like I said, I've not saved the world with this, but I don't know how many times. I mean, seriously, I just couldn't get it to come together, and you know, a little bit of sex magic, and boom, the pieces just fit. And honestly, this is all about yourself. This is absolute self-play. You may have a partner there doing the work, for example, but this isn't about them. This isn't about sex. It's about being able to meditate and clear all that stuff out, and actually let some things come in that are useful to you. And then afterwards, you can relax. You went and got your job done. You're not stressed. You can get some sleep. You can actually probably enjoy some sex after that. And you know, 'cause I mean, the way I fell into it was I would get stressed out, and I'm not paying attention to my partner. What am I doing? I got a beautiful woman there, and I'm thinking about the light bill. That'll work. You know what I mean? But one time I figured out how to pay that bill.
There a minute.
Yeah. But one time it occurred to me, I figured out how to pay that bill. And when I did, I started having fun with her. You know, so I started looking into that. And honestly, there's names for it. I'm not the first one. So as a practice, when there's not someone around to relieve, you know, I don't want to say relieve the tensions, but to share that energy with, I get frustrated. Truthfully, I get frustrated when things get busy and I don't have that ability to slow down and calm down and kind of medicine myself. I get frustrated, and it's medicine. It's medicine.
I wholeheartedly agree with that because I'm a staunch advocate for masturbation, period. But this level of just actually meditating, you know, and most people say, well, meditating is just, you know, breathing in and out. It's more than that. It's actually focusing on your end goal, because we're all here for a reason, and trying to get those, you're living from the inside out. Most people live from the outside, you know, what they already see. What you already see is the past. So if you can visualize and get that with that sex, because sexual energy is one of the most powerful energies that we have as humans, then you mutate and you alchemize that and you make it into your reality. So a lot of people, like you said, it takes practice to do that.
Now, and also look at your partner at that point. Now you've got your partner, and you need your partner for all the things that you decided to have a partner for, and then you find a way to use them for this as well. And I said use them for this because remember, they really don't need to be there. They just need to understand what's going on. Their presence is really energy only. But when they understand that, they're like, hey, I can see you need this right now. You know, you're going to love that person that much more. I mean, you're going to appreciate them in a different way. You're going to see them as valuable in a different manner, you know. And I don't know that you see them more valuable. Maybe you love them plenty enough to begin with. But extra credit's good, you know. And you know, these are the types of energies that you turn back around to your partner no matter what happens, because you're holding them and you have to release them somewhere. You know?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why I say that people need to have these conversations before they start to exchange even those energies. Because let's just say that you're a couple and you're working towards a common goal. This kind of dynamic is something that can bring that to fruition. And not many people understand that, you know, but you have to be working on the same page from the same endpoint. So yeah.
Correct. Well, can you imagine if a couple looked at each other and instead of throwing a coffee cup across the room, you know, they said, little sex magic is what we need today.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
if a man comes home too wound up to be nice to her, it happens.
Yeah.
He's just not feeling good about himself. But I mean, at the end of the day, if she could see that and read his mood and go, he doesn't need for me to be mad at him. He needs for me to give him some energy exchange here. He needs this. And vice versa. I mean, how long has it been before? I mean, how long has it been since, you know, women have been put in a position where taking care of them was routine, as opposed to them taking care of us? You know.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
you know, when you treat your partner that way, they tend to want to give that back, because honestly, it's not just the regular old typical thing that we learned how to do in high school. It's somebody giving your body, your flesh, your soul, your mind, your existence, their energy, and intending for you to use it. And whether you use it selfishly to calm yourself or to relieve whatever those need to be, that's someone offering it to you. And, you know, like we said, the topic is masturbation. But I mean, the point is, at the end of the day, when we're taking care of ourselves, whether we're having our partner come in and tell us that we need to, or whether we are exchanging our own energy, or whatever it is, we've got to maintenance that part of our bodies and that part of our soul, you know. Or, you know, our soul gets rusty just the same as our attitude.
I'm glad that you're mentioning about the soul, because not many people even refer to the soul. They just think of sex as the physical aspect of the union, and it's more deeper than that, you know. They go to, like, you start looking and connecting with your partner. It develops a certain dynamic to that intimacy, right? And even with the partnering for the partnered masturbating, right? Or even doing the sex magic, right? You get to a different level with your partner, that different level of connection, that different level of intimacy. And when you start exchanging breaths and you guys are on the same breathing tone, oh my God, oh my God, mind blown. Yes.
You know, and that's the thing when I say that, you know, I really have a thing for, you know, the female orgasm. Everybody thinks that means that I'm just trying to crawl in some girl's panties. Honestly, it's not that. It's the boom. You know, that's what I'm after, the absolute little boom, yeah. And, you know, the first time I seen something like that, I was like, whoa, because it's not about being able to create it so much as being able to see it.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't mean that icky shit you see on a porno, that girl's faking.
Yeah.
I promise that girl's faking. What I'm talking about is when mama trusts you. Oh, that just happened. But you know, when mama trusts you enough to let her touch you, to let you touch her that way, not like, but like, you know, you've got to when she allows that for you. Most women are too reserved, you know, or men are even worse. But you know, most women are too reserved to allow a man those privileges. And that's where we get all these fantasies in our mind to masturbate with, like, you know, your young lady in the beginning to begin with, because our partners aren't open to those ideas. We're embarrassed to say them.
Right.
We don't want our fantasies to get past our own little social bubble, where people shouldn't be looking, you know. And honestly, that's where the soul lies, is in those fantasies. Now, that doesn't mean we have to go and do all of those things, but it means we share it with our partner so they understand. Now, you know, I know that.
But hold on. Yeah, share it with your partner so they understand. But it's now the partner's job to make you feel comfortable safe and secure to want to share that. A lot of women complain that they don't do that because they don't feel safe, or if I share my fantasies, he's going to get upset with me.
I have a rule when it comes to a woman I care about that is brave enough to give me a fantasy. It's a rule. It's never broken. It is hard limit.
What?
If she's brave enough to give me her fantasy, I'm going to give her some sort of a yes. Now that don't mean we're going to run out and do it, but she's going to hear it in her ear. We're going to talk about it when we talk about things. It's going to get acted upon. No questions asked. Because one, I want her to come back with the next one. This one might not work so well for the both of us, but the next one may.
Right.
You know, and if I treat her like shit for it, she is not coming back.
Right.
You know, she may stay, but she's not bringing me those fantasies anymore. That means her sex life is over and my sex life is over.
Just like that.
So, you know, the rule in my life is, you know, if a woman comes to me with a fantasy, the answer is maybe not all the way yes, because you never know what she's going to say. You know this. But you want me to what? With a who on where and huh? Okay. Let me get a pen.
Draw it for me, baby. Just draw it for me.
We get the Etch-a-Sketch. I'll take notes. But, you know, the point is, more often than not, we don't want to hear, hey, let's run out and do something maybe we shouldn't. But what we do want to hear is, it's okay for you to think about that. And we're gonna get a, you know, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna set up a scene. We're gonna role play. We're probably gonna do a lot more than we would if we'd have just went and did it anyway. And, you know, honestly, if you can't say yes to your partner, what the hell are you doing with them?
Exactly. Because it goes back to what you said before about that trust. You know, if you don't feel safe, you're not going to trust. And if you don't trust, then all of that shit makes no sense.
And a woman that feels safe and trust is going to come like a freight train.
Yeah, exactly.
Trust me. I mean,
so let me ask you this question, just because I want to be provocative with this sexual energy exchange here. Are there certain positions? I know that with visualizing, that are there certain positions that you would recommend, whether it's missionary, cowgirl, or do the oral sensations make the experience a little bit more enthusiastic? Should these partners pay attention to, and I know that masturbation is not just a solo thing, but we're talking about the partnering and the exchange of the energies. And ladies and gentlemen, if you just joined us, we are here on the Swell Happy Hour with our phenomenal guest, Mr. Justin Sayne, and we're talking about masturbation, and we're at the point where we're talking about the sexual energy exchange. So I just wanted to get some clarity or some insight as to if there are certain positions, because I know some people are saying, well, okay, well, what position do I do this in, and how do I do that if I'm going to do this masturbating and sexual energy exchange and, you know, visualizing? It's a whole lot that we shared with them. So anything you want to expound on?
When it comes to positioning, I found that that's very, very specific to the person. I mean, very much so. The position I would recommend was the one you could relax in. The one you can let go in. The one you don't have to hold your butt to the side or your head up, or your, you do your thing. You find a spot that works. You know, what I recommend is all of those other parts that we forget to use. We forget to use the hands. We forget to nibble a little. We forget to get in her ear and call her baby girl and then dirty names, you know, and then baby girl again.
The fingertips.
The fingertips, yeah. I mean, you know, the hair on the nipples, you know.
Yes.
I mean, you know, all of those parts that we don't tend to use are very effective. The ears are so sexy. I mean, so sexy. And anytime you can get into your partner's ear and just growl a little, you know what I'm talking about. shit. You know what I mean? And you know, I think my eyes and my ears are my favorite sex toys. You know, I mean, it's like
that is awesome.
You know,
that is awesome.
You know, it's very, very, very. It's very amazing what you can do to the female body by saying things into her ear. And it doesn't matter how you're handling the other parts. If you can get into her ears, and you can get, you know, that's the route into her head, you know.
Exactly.
And it's the other penetration.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, I applaud you because so many men think that it's just one entryway. You know, so many men think that, yeah, it's just about the action and the pounding and the getting her to go, when it's actually so much more. You have to fuck her here before you fuck her there, you know, and it's unfortunate that men just don't understand that because they're watching too much porn and they're getting off on the porn and hearing all this, why don't you do that? Yeah, because I'm not a porn star, okay? Hello.
Well, I'll tell you, if you can maintenance a woman, you know, in her head, in her heart, in her soul, you know, use those parts that people tend to forget.
Yep. Yep.
You'll have a fan for life, even if you kick her dog, you know. And don't kick the dog. Don't kick the dog. Whatever you do, don't kick the dog. I love me some doggies. Don't kick the dog. I'm just saying, you can mess up pretty bad, as us boys do. So I mean, trust me. I mean, you know. I mean, what the boys are better at messing up than pretty much everything. You know, but I mean, you know, the way you fix some of those things and the way you make yourself worthwhile, and you know, you make her feel good about trusting you and putting up with our stupid asses. You know, give that little bit extra. Give the part that makes her think, you know, yeah, but he's that much better to me. You know, and vice versa. You know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with exploring like you said, you know, get into her head. And that doesn't mean even be nice. You know, just like your story in the front, that girl wanted everything from the beggar to
to the homosexuals. She wanted everybody. Everything,
you know,
to me.
Right. Now the downside is some boy probably wrote that. You know, but in the spirit of the woman, he captured the fact that she is absolutely alive in there.
Right.
You know, there's a spirit in there that moves within itself, even if that's not the way she acts outwardly. You know,
and that's important, because I was gonna say he understands that, and then there's also no judgment, because that's part of the fear of why a lot of women don't confide this inner part and this inner sanctuary. I give you a case in point. So this guy I dated, and I dated him for 5 years, and you know, I got intimate and told him some real deep down secrets. And we got into a big blowout argument over some stupid shit. I don't even remember what the argument was all about. But the simple fact that in that kind of discourse and that kind of exchange, he brought up some of the stuff that I had told him. Talk about breaking that trust. Yeah. I'm like, dude, bye.
Bye.
Yeah. So, you know,
Unbelievable.
Exactly.
Well, you know, we got to give boys some slack, because, you know, we mess up a lot. We get all emotional, and the problem, you know, and I've done it, and I see it happen all the time, and I try to protect my kid from it. But, you know, the difference between love and hate is purely attention. The act of those things are the same thing. I mean, seriously, when we love someone, we're just
expand on that. Yeah, please.
Well, love and hate. What I'm saying is, let me make an example. One of these things will make a person lash out, make fools of themselves, hurt people, hurt themselves, do harm to women and children, cause wars, world wars, you know, you name it. All of them have come from this one thing. and the other one is hate.
Mm.
You'll notice that we do the same stuff when we love someone as when we hate someone. It's just the intention that goes behind it. If I love someone, I focus on them intently and dearly. When I hate them, I do the same thing. When I'm afraid of losing someone, I make myself look like a jackass and I act out. I get emotional and I don't think right. When I'm afraid, I'm going to, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
When I hate them, I get emotional and I lash out at them and I don't act right. We see this in murder-suicide. Somebody will get emotional. That very fine line gets very blurry and disappears, and they do something stupid long enough to see what they've done, and then they can't take it and do it to themselves. The fine line between love and hate just blurred in a catastrophic manner. The thing is, our actions are the same. It's our intentions. Now, if that same man would have used that energy to protect her, you see what I mean? He couldn't even, we see it all the time. Man can't even live with himself over what he did to that person he loved, because that line blurred. He didn't even want to live anymore, because that line blurred. And the truth of the matter is, we don't understand that it's just a simple object of keeping ourselves on this side of that line. Look at divorce court. How many times do we go into divorce court with people we love, we've had children with, we've reproduced with, and then we become monsters. We become monsters. And then whoever wins, who's holding their head up high when they get to the house that night?
The one that wins.
Nobody. They
wins.
both know. They both know they went and acted like jackasses in front of people they cared about. And then you look back on that same relationship, like whatever months or years before, how they were. Oh, honey, I can't live without you. Yeah. They blurred that love. They blurred that line, and now again they're lashing out. They're seeking each other's attention. They're making themselves publicly displays of not this type of affection, but the other type of affection. Right. Right. And these two are going to get at each other, even if they have to go to court to do it.
Damn shame. Damn shame. Damn shame.
Damn shame. So I mean, seriously, that line of love and hate is so entirely fine and blurry, and it's final.
Yeah.
Once you do something hateful to a woman
scorned. Woman scorned. That's right. Woman scorned. Yep.
And trust me, I've done it. I got my priors. I mean, as soon as and then you open your mouth to say something you think's gonna help, and you're like, oh my God, let me help you pack. But again, it's that fine line of love and hate. You're trying to love on her and completely fail, because you're emotional and again, this is one of those times when your partner could look at you and go, but let me fix that before you dig yourself a hole. Your partner can see this coming and go, I've been around this block. Let me just kiss it better for a minute.
Okay. So I was just I was gonna segue and say, well, so how can we help our audience? Now we've told them what it is. Now we've told them how to do it. How can we help them in case they are in that situation where it calls for some kind of understanding, so now that they could transmute that sexual energy? And it doesn't necessarily have to end up in the act of sex either. It could just be that cuddling, that holding, but the energies is what's important.
It is, and you've got to turn the corner on that energy in those situations. And I only say so because, I've failed at it as many times as I've got it right, But honestly, I think my favorite go-to line in this situation, in those situations, tends to check my own goals as much as tries to, what I say is, baby, I love you more than this problem. I really want you more than this problem.
That's nice.
And
That's nice.
you know, if being right is going to, you know, fix this problem, then you go on do that. You be right. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's,
you know,
that's very big of you.
Well, what's the goal?
Mm-hmm.
Is the goal to fight with the woman, or is the goal to not fight with the woman? You know, and as quickly as a good woman's going to walk up and go, wait a minute, he just totally put it in my court. You know, I'm going to get some pizza or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it works out. You know, if she don't bring me no pizza, then, you know, I didn't have to fight. Now she's leaving.
But that's a good tactic to extinguish all of that, you know, that drama and that negativity. That's very good, and it's commendable that you as a guy would say, you know, okay, baby, you're right. Yeah, you hear most married men say, yeah, the first thing that you know is that the woman's always right. But how many of them hold on to that? I'm the man, I'm the right one, you know. So
but what good does that? What good does that? What good does that do? I mean, every single conflict on earth ever has been two people willing to fight about being right.
Yes. Yes.
And both of them are right. You can just ask them. And, you know, I look at it like, you know, seriously, especially when it comes to relationships. I mean, if you put your time and effort into that, you don't want a war. You want to cuddle. You know what I mean? And so, you know, I mean, at that point, you know, the issue really is not being right or wrong. It's about standing correct. And, you know, if I can stand correct, then that's way better than being right. Because people fight about being right all the time.
All day.
But, you know, if you can stand there and go, you know what, I'm not right or wrong. I just don't want to fight with you, and I like you more than the fight. I'm good. You know, I mean, you know, because it's gonna get me more at the end of the day. Even if she takes full advantage of that and goes, all right, I'm getting my way. That's only gonna happen once, and she's gonna go, yeah, that was skeevy. You know what I mean? And you know, it's funny when you stand correct, you tend to levitate to middle ground whether you want to or not. You know, and it keeps you out of those fine lines, for me anyway. And
blurred lines.
Yeah. But I found that, you know, seriously, you know, as people, we seem to be right or wrong, and both of those things seem dangerous, especially in a relationship when you could just simply stand correct. You know,
live in the gray area.
Am I right? Right. Am I right? I don't know, baby. I might be. I could be. You want to fight about it?
Right.
You know, exactly. I mean, just, you know, I tend to enjoy looking at the women that I date, you know, and they're just not as pretty when they're pissed.
Well, maybe you should engage them in some masturbation and look at their cum faces.
I do. I love that. I totally do. And I'll tell you, you know, there's nothing better than like just like right in the middle of everything, just be like, sit over there, baby, you do it. Maybe some directions, you know what I mean? Maybe you know, the right direction, you know, so everything, you know, however, you know, maybe she's not comfortable at first, so maybe I'll just watch from over here. You know what I mean? But it is so wonderful watching a woman take care of herself, because no one knows her like she does.
Right.
You know?
Right.
How am I, you know, I'm not going to learn, even if she told me everything to do, I'm still going to see more when I watch her do it.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And
but you know, and I don't mean to cut you, but the problem with that is that it's been shameful. It's been, don't do that. It's wrong, you know? So kudos to you when you get a woman to do that in front of you, you know, be comfortable with herself, her body image, her esteem, just to say, well, I'm going to spread eagle and I'm just going to get down and you're going to watch me and you're going to see all the faces and where I touch and, you know,
where the body shakes.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. But let me ask you this. So what about the woman who doesn't know how to orgasm? The woman who has never experienced that? How will the exchange of energy help that woman?
I've never had a female orgasm. I've caused a few, but uh, honestly, I've met very few women that said they could not orgasm.
Really?
Every time I've heard that, I've pressed them, and it turns into they can't do it very well,
Mm-hmm.
or they can't do it very often. But
Mm-hmm.
usually, very rarely do I run into one that says, nope, it never
Never
has happened.
happened.
You
Okay.
know, many could up to a tragic event. And
Mm-hmm.
I have a special place in my heart for those because anything you can do to get them out of that shell is like. But
Yes, kudos.
yeah, kudos. Let's bring them back. But uh, you know, those women especially, appreciate the fact that you will take your time and understand that about as quickly as you say, okay, I understand, I get that, let's just move on. They focus on that because people don't do that with them, and they'll come back with, well, maybe we'll try it a little bit,
Okay.
and it usually brings them back around to try things that maybe was tragic before, or didn't happen well because they were young, maybe, or they tried it and just maybe their partner was bad at it or something like that. A lot of times just simply letting it go will, bring them back around. But, I've got that thought on my mind now, actually. I have I don't want to break her anonymity, so let me be really clear right now. Be really careful.
Spill the tea.
I have a friend, and her situation
Let's
is
call her
not that she
Kitty.
was okay, not that she was violated, but she just had some partners do some things they weren't very good at.
Mm.
And she told me, and I was like, there's like 1,000 other things to do. Forget that. So a little while later, she's, well, I know that you like those things. Do you now? And now you all of a sudden give a shit, and that's awesome, So this particular partner had a very bad experience with breath play. And again, I'm gonna touch on this because honestly, again, it's about servicing herself at this point. She knows that I'm very much into breath play. I mean, just the color, everyone knows that I'm into breath play. So she felt like that she was cutting me off because she had had a bad experience. So she came to me and told me, and she's like, I don't feel like I'm doing you well in this situation, So I made a couple of suggestions, and off she went to think about it. It wasn't like, come here, I'll show you how to do it. It was, well, maybe we'll try this and that. So what I did was I allowed her to get on top. I played with her throat caressingly and told her to push when she wanted to. And if she didn't want to, don't.
Okay.
It wasn't but a few minutes. She's in her own little world. I was pretty much just not even there. She was in a situation where she could experiment and she was free and safe to do so. And the last time she had tried something like that, it was scary. So she needed to be in control on top,
Cowgirl.
And when you're choking, it's not like, sometimes you're on bottom and you feel very out of control. You know what I mean? This is a situation where she was in control of the whole thing. And at the end of the day, she really came around to that. And, what went from a bad experience went to something that she loves to do now. And
so let me ask you, do you have any of those collars that maybe you could show the audience how you manipulate that? Because I know you showed me. You don't have any? Dang,
I don't have any with me. But But essentially, the way they work is they just use your neck as a spring. So you know, when you give it a little tug, you're already suppressed, and as your body works up and your breath starts to increase from your natural state, that thing gets more and more effective, and you're locked into a safe place. So even if you give it a pull, if you have an accident, it's going to snap back to your safe place, and you know, always, I recommend always with a partner with those, but we know people use them to self-sustain.
So wait, so hold on. So you use it on her. Does she also simultaneously use it on you to create this asphyxiation?
That would be extremely unsafe because no one is in control.
Okay, right. I was going to say, both of y'all pass out, and what happened?
But yeah, but I do appreciate a little bit of choking from someone that knows what they're talking about, because the anatomy behind asphyxiation is extremely aggressively satisfying. And a lot of people think that it's just about choking. Well, that's like saying that, you know, bungee jumping is about jumping off a cliff. It's not about jumping. It's about living. It's about excitement. It's about, you know, cliff just happens to be there. But you know, when you're choking, you're in a situation where you've cut off your blood and your air. Your blood carries your air. Now what we've done is we've stimulated these parts of our body, and our nerves start to swell like they're supposed to. And they swell not with blood so much, but a large dose of all the chemicals that we tend to love during an energy exchange that goes right into those nerve endings. Well, the blood and the oxygen is the vehicle. So when you cut that off, all of those nerve endings are going to start sucking in and trying to find that blood, trying to find those chemicals, trying to find that oxygen. When you let go, full force right back to all those places, right back to all those nerve endings, right back with all of those chemicals. And the minute you get your breath back during stimulation, there's a fury of satisfaction that hits your body for Islam, you know, different
so it's
times.
Like a different kind of high.
It's like a tsunami.
Wow.
It's like a tsunami, and biologically it is a tsunami, because honestly, all of those, I mean, your glands are still working. All your parts that secrete these medicines and chemicals are still working. They just don't have what it takes to flow it through the body. And your body's worked up. It's wanting to start sending mass amounts of these chemicals to these parts that you're playing with and slapping and stimulating and kissing and all of these things. And when you cut off the vehicle that takes them and then flood it through all at once, you're going to feel that. You're going to feel that.
So let me ask you this. Do you prefer to choke or to be choked in the act?
I don't trust many people to choke me, and I will not do it alone, ever, for any reason. I've had a few that I trust to choke me lightly, but it's not from a lack of enjoying it. It's from the danger of it. If you don't have a partner that understands asphyxiation, just don't do it.
Right. Right.
Simply, just don't do it. This is one of those things that will eventually kill you. You have to get it right every time or you die. It's not like, you know.
So you talk about the rush, and ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us here, this is the S.W.E.L.L. Happy Hour, and we are talking to our favorite friend to the show, Mr. Justin Sayne, and we're on the topic of masturbation, and we were just discussing asphyxiation, you know, the choking. Now, is choking, would you recommend doing that? I mean, obviously, if you're in a prime scenario, you know, you trust the person, they trust you, everybody knows what they're doing, everybody knows what's on the table. Would you say that technique can also enhance a masturbation scenario?
You know, yes, and that's exactly what those collars are for. Excuse my plug. The reason we made those is because You can find them on justinsayneLeather.com and on
There you
Facebook
go.
and on Twitter. And anyway, there's a video on YouTube that says asphyxiation safety collar with a porn star involved. So check that out. I made those mostly because people tend to die asphyxiating themselves, and I wanted something that that would act as a spotter, not an encouragement to continue doing this. Truthfully, asphyxiating alone is the thing. That's what people do. By numbers, I'd say that. Well, how about this? When I talk to people, you know about the collars? Do you asphyxiate? When I talk to couples, probably 60 or 70% of the guys go, "No, we don't do that." Well, the same amount of women go,
Oh wow.
you know, and I have to look straight at that boy and be like, "You're about to lose her. You're going to find her dead because you won't talk to her."
Wow.
And because it's just a matter of time. If she does it while she's drinking, if she does it while, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of time. So I always tell them, talk about this and do it. So when I made that collar, it wasn't for couples play. It was made for safety in solo play. As it turns out, it's a great toy and couples love them. But I don't care. We've lost a lot of people because it's too taboo to even talk about it amongst couples. And I don't think girls do it nearly as much as boys in a masturbation situation, but let me tell you, there are many, 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 many girls that do. And I would say that I might be wrong about that. I mean,
you know what I would love, Justin? You know what I would love? If for our next month's feature, which is on bedroom adventures, if you could actually bring the collar and demonstrate, how this can not only just spice up the relationship, but how it actually, and I'm not saying to, have any kind of sex improvisation or anything like that, but just how it works, so people can get that visual on, the safety. Because when I met Justin earlier on this year at the AVN Awards, at the AVN Expo, the Sex Expo, Justin really intrigued me about the collar. So much so that, all I knew of asphyxiation was that it was dangerous. And all I knew of asphyxiation was that I don't want to try that shit because I don't know what I'm doing. And I don't trust any other guy who doesn't know what he's doing. He might kill my ass, especially since I'm all over the place, when that time comes, like a fish. So when he explained about the safety mechanism that he created for that, I thought that shit was genius. It's unfortunate that he doesn't have any here to show you because he's on his way to California right now. I don't know which part he has stopped in, but he so graciously stopped so that we could view this show and to air this show and air this information to you. But next time, I really want you to bring that collar in because it is such a phenomenal safety gadget. And like you say, a lot of people are into this. It's not kinky. Some people just want that elevated rush. And a lot of people, because they're into it, not necessarily know what the hell they're doing. So I applaud you, Mr. Sayne. I applaud you. Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We've lost a lot of people to that, and it's really not. I mean, I really appreciate it. I do. And I was really, really, really humbled that XBiz went ahead and put that up for an award last year. We didn't win, but for anything asphyxiation to get that kind of recognition, that was the best. That's the best win I could have had.
That was huge.
And I feel like with that particular device, we need to find a way to. I'm going to say this out loud. I've not said this publicly at all yet, but given some of the deaths that we've had, that I feel like were asphyxiation, not only in the industry but in the world lately. I'm looking for a way to find an opportunity to give those away. I didn't make them to be a toy like they've turned into. And I really feel like one of my heroes died this year because he was choking. And what made me
Who was that?
emotional, Chris Cornell. He was found with an exercise band around his neck, which is a very typical asphyxiation device. He wasn't hanging. Those exercise bands are very stretchy.
Yeah.
So they tend to let loose, but they're grippy enough to where if you wrap it around, you'll get a good asphyxiation and it'll come loose. He had taken some pills, and just like I said before, a little bit of something that'll intoxicate you and asphyxiation. And truth of the matter is that happened in Detroit, where I know there's 25 or 30 of those collars just a few miles away. It broke my heart that the reason why, if he was doing that, if I'm right, I mean, when I read the initial reports, I was like, oh my God, another one. But if I'm right, he could have afforded one of my collars if he'd have known. If he'd have known it was there. And not just him. It's just that's what gives the focus. I mean, honestly, we've lost so many young men and women to asphyxiation, and to rely on a belt or an exercise band. I mean, here's a guy with all the resources in the world, and we didn't do a good enough job to let him know those collars were just down the road.
Right.
And they sell in Seattle where he lives. He could have gotten one in Seattle. I think the way to get the word out there is to give them away. And if I can find a way to finance that, where I'll make them for free as long as I can get the leather bought and
wow.
the ability to say that this is what's going on. But honestly, we've lost enough people to that pretty much everything I'm making on those collars is going towards trying to give them away. That is the goal with the money I'm making on them, even if I've got to pay for it myself.
Wow. Well, I commend you on that feat. I commend you. And whatever I can do to support you on that, you just let me know.
You find me a sponsor. We'll put their name all over it. Your life saved by. But seriously, on a personal level, these are our brothers, our sisters, our boys, our girls, our children are doing this, and we need to be able to care for them enough to open up the dialogue and say this is how we're going to do something to protect you. And more than that, I encourage everyone out there with any amount of sense in their freaking head to come up with another device even better than mine. Look at how many different kinds of parachutes and bungee cords we have. How many condoms do we have? How many contraceptives do we have? How many lubes do we have? But we got one asphyxiation collar? That's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. And there's no better way to say we don't care. So I'm gonna get off of that. But I really love that collar, and I like that it works. Because people live, and on a self-centered note, these are our customers dying.
Wow. Yeah.
Even if we don't like them, they pay for our food. And they go and choke themselves because we couldn't get them something that was a little safer. That's not even protecting ourselves.
How much do your collars usually go for?
They retailed for $100 each up to now. I've been giving them away buy one get one free, because I want there to be the one to give away.
Right.
I actually learned that trick in church. Remember when the gospel singers would come around and be like, "You buy one for you, and then buy a tape for someone who needs it." You know what I mean? We're going to give you one for a sinner. Well, I want to do the same thing. I'll give you the collar because I just want another one out there.
Right.
And I feel like if you're choking, you probably have friends that are choking that will probably come and take your collar.
Wow. That wasn't funny.
Well, my baby sister grabbed one of those collars this year. Seriously, she walked up to my pile of stuff and said, "I need one of these," and I was like,
wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. You know, and you know that's when that's when it hits you in the face. You know, it's like, you know,
people are doing this.
Yeah, I mean,
People
baby
are
sister.
doing this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
there's a big difference between baby sister popping up with a boyfriend and, you know, can I get one of these asphyxiation collars, bro?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, you can. You know, I don't want you having one without. And more than that, it was very uncomfortable. But then I had to ask her. These things have been around for 5 years. Why have you just now asked for one?
Ah! Oh my God! Because she didn't know.
Oh, she knew. She knew. She knew. She just wasn't gonna ask me. She wasn't gonna do it.
Well, I commend you. I commend you and I applaud you. And I'm glad that you are doing something for safe sex, you know, because that's basically what it boils down to. And the simple fact that this is also an enhancer to solo play, you know,
Boom.
and talk about sexual energy exchange and yeah, and partnering with masturbation. So yeah, just to recap, all of these topics we just discussed here tonight, and Justin just gave us a little bit, you know, about Justin. And Justin, just let our audience know where they can find you, and you know, some of the products that you have before we close out our show.
You can find us at justinsayneLeather.com. We're getting away from the .com format, trying to jump on board with the social media only direction that the world's going. So you'll find all of our products and the ability to buy them on our Facebook as well. Because Facebook seems to be the largest market on earth right now.
1 billion people!
We will be at the Whiskey A Go Go tonight watching the kids kick butt down there. And yeah, if you want to find me there.
Whiskey A Go Go.
Yeah. And well, you've heard of the world famous Whiskey A Go Go down in Hollywood, you know. It's where all the trouble started.
I have Whiskey A Go Go.
Now tell me.
Tell you what.
When are you gonna bring your butt out here and let me put one of those collars on you?
When your ass stays put. Every time I connect with you, you're either in California or you're in Tennessee or you're in Detroit. I mean, listen, I'm not gonna go chasing after you. You let me know when your ass is put, then I'll come over.
Don't you? See, that's not how this works. That is not how this works.
It's not? It's not?
That is not how this works.
Enlighten me, please.
See, you are a pretty intelligent female. The way this works is you get on the phone and you say, I'm going to be there September the 5th. I don't give a shit what you're doing. I don't know where you're going to be, but I'm going to be at your house eating your Cheerios.
Oh! And on that note, ladies
you know what I like, young lady. You know what I'm into. You know what it takes.
I hear you. I hear you.
I know you do.
You know I do. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Mr. Justin Sayne. Justin, I'm so honored and I so appreciate you coming on the show here tonight and, you know, just giving us some alternate information, because so many people are used to the same old, and at S.W.E.L.L. Happy Hour, we don't do the same old. We go a little bit different to give you a different perspective on something that you said, I never thought about that. So I do appreciate you coming on here talking about sexual energy exchange and talking about partnering and masturbation, and, you know, just giving us a little bit more insight on one of your products that you do, the safety of the collar. So yes, thank you. I had a ball chatting with you.
You know I love this show. I'm here anytime. And maybe we should do a whole show on energy exchange. We bumped on that, but we didn't really hit it.
I know. I know.
We missed the spot. That's not my thing. You know, I don't like to miss the spot.
That's a wet spot over there. but I am very serious about you coming on the show and giving that demonstration with regard to the safety. And if any way that I can find a sponsor to help you to promote this a little bit more, then I'm at your service. I'm at your service.
Even if we just give away 100, or 50, or we can't change the world with one fell swoop, but maybe we can sponsor giving away 1,000.
Okay.
Maybe we can. I don't know.
So you have 1,000 already made?
No.
Oh. Okay.
Those things sell. It's hard to keep them in. Okay. But seriously, giving them away would be very, very, very expensive to my bottom line. Point is, I don't care. But somebody comes up and says, "Give me 1,000 callers. We're going to donate them." They're going to get 1,000 callers.
Okay.
I got to
come in different colors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll make them stylish. But the second thing is we got to make sure that everybody knows to go get them and where.
Yes. Yes.
So it's not about just making them. We have to actually put the word out, that, even if it's just while supplies last, the next 100 of them are free. Come and get them.
Yes.
We could save one life.
Yeah. Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
It's worth 1,000 more.
That's right.
It's worth 1,000 more. If 10,000 people use them and one of them are saved, just one.
Mm-hmm. Kudos.
Then I'm a hero. You know what I'm saying? I mean, really, it's like, ooh, I get a cape. I get my Superman underproof.
Superman! Oh my gosh. Thank you, Justin. Thank you. It has been a ball.
Thank you.
I learned, and yeah, I'm sure our audiences learned something. I wanted to know if anyone had any questions. Excuse me, to just type them. Thank you. To type them in the chat box. Anyone have any questions that they wanted to ask Justin, ask me? Let me see if I should put them all off mute. Off mute. Oh, unmute. Unmute. Anybody want to ask a question? Anybody want to say anything?
They're like,
so
oh,
shy.
Hell no. Oh, hell no.
Oh, my goodness. Well, since no one has risen to the occasion, please remember to look at JustinSayneLeather.com, JustinSayneLeather.com, and you can find Mr. Justin Sayne. And I wanted to share something. Let me see. Hold on. I wanted to share this with you. So this is Justin. Yes, this is his email address, JustinSayneLeather@yahoo.com. His website address, his Facebook address. Please reach out to him. This gentleman is doing good things and good deeds for our sex community. Yes, making sex safe again. That's right. That's my little blurb, my tagline for you, Justin. And as far as
great again.
That's right. That's right. As far as I am concerned, I have my launch party next week, Thursday. The Art of Communication, Love, Sex, and Relationship. Yeah, when did you cross that thin line that we spoke about between love and hate? Get back that tenderness. Get back that slutty. Put that sex between those sheets once more. Get your tickets here, ladies and gentlemen, at bit.ly/happy hour. That's next Thursday, September 21, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Bacchus Bistro. I'm super, super psyched about this. So S.W.E.L.L Happy Hour, we have come to our end, and this is Justin, and this is me. This is where you can connect with us, and I hope that you reach out and connect with us. And this has been a very thrilling show. So, ladies, I have a call to action for you. Your call to
Are
action
you gonna give him my
is
number?
yes, I'm gonna give you a number. Your number. Your call to action is to set your bath and create that ambiance. Just let your fingers start do the walking. Masturbation doesn't have to be a big to do, but it has to be a to do for you, you know? And it can help you in so many other ways. Before you go out on that date or before you call that, oh, that dude that you said, oh, I just feel for him right now, let your fingers do the walking. When you want to text him, but then you masturbate, you remember who you are. That's right. You are the queen, you are the goddess. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sharing and spending time with us tonight. Thank you for watching. And we are going to say good night. And Justin, thank you. Thank you so much.
Always my pleasure. You know, it's always my pleasure.
All right, darling. Good night. Oh,
Good to see
great
you.
show. Yay, great show.